And let me offer you a very warm welcome here to the University's Barony Hall, one of the jewels in our estate, and you can see the beautiful surroundings. Most importantly, we use this place for graduating our outstanding students, our graduands, some of whom are before us. I have a stage full of excellent graduands behind us, and it's a fantastic day for the friends, family, and the supporters of these people as they start their careers properly. This is the first graduation ceremony of this year's season, so it's a special day. We'll be graduating through 2024 almost 3,500 students. An army of Strathclyders going to change the world, whether it's in industry, business, as entrepreneurs, working in public sector, or even educators. So it's great that you are getting us off to a great start. These occasions are wonderful in any case, but occasionally we add an additional bit of enjoyment for you, and today is one of those days where we celebrate the outstanding professional and personal achievements of key individuals. And we have one such individual today next to me on the stage, Dame Fiona Murray of MIT, about whom you'll hear a little bit more shortly when she's introduced by Professor Jill McBride. As we will start the ceremony shortly, to all of those that are waiting patiently to come up here to be capped, at which point when I cap, that's us conferring the degree to the individuals. This mace that sits before us, that's a symbol that this is under the authority of the Crown and reflects the fact that we have a royal charter. This piece of furniture that I have before me, this kneeler, which is actually back to front today, don't worry about that, because I don't want you to kneel on it. I have knelt on this piece of furniture 3 times in my life at Strathclyde, from a bachelor's, my master's and PhD. Well, perhaps a little bit more conventional when you had to kneel before the Vice-Chancellor or the Chancellor to be capped. Please don't do that today. We're very much more supportive of equality, diversity and inclusivity. Although I have to say, if you knelt down, it would be easier for me to cap you. But never mind. When you come across the stage, I'll confer the degree and then you'll go back to your seat, at which point I will give you an update with regard to the university. So I'm now going to declare this congregation open. To the families and friends, do feel free, within reason, to let your daughters, sons, or members of your family know that you're here, within reason. You're here to enjoy yourself. It's an important occasion, but it's important you take your memories away with you today. So with that, I will declare the congregation open, and I'm going to invite Professor McBride to introduce our honorary graduate this morning. Thank you very much.
Principal and Vice-Chancellor, I have the honour to present to you Professor Dame Fiona Murray, DCMG CBE. Dame Fiona is globally recognised as an expert in innovation and entrepreneurship. She is known for her work on the commercialisation of science and technology research and for academic entrepreneurship. This is something that's very close to our hearts here at Strathclyde. And our research also considers diversity and inclusion in the commercialisation of technology. Again, something that's very important to us here at Strathclyde. The current focus of our research is on the impact of the changing geopolitical context on science, technology and innovation in startup ventures. Currently, Dame Fiona is the Associate Dean for Innovation at the MIT Sloan School of Management. She is also a member of the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom's Council for Science and Technology and Vice Chair of the Board of Directors of the NATO Innovation Fund. With a father who hails from Prestwick in Ayrshire, she studied at Merton College in Oxford, where she earned her first-class BA degree in 1989, followed by an MA in 1990. She moved to the United States for her graduate studies, where she worked in applied science at Harvard University. She obtained an AM degree in 1992 and a PhD in 1996 from Harvard. After completing her doctorate, Fiona returned to the UK and to the University of Oxford, where she was appointed a lecturer at the Syed Business School and a fellowship at St Catherine's College in Oxford. Dame Fiona Murray was appointed to the faculty at the MIT Sloan School of Management in 1999, and since 2013, she has held the William Porter Chair of Entrepreneurship. She has a track record of leadership and excellence in both research and teaching as a tenured professor of entrepreneurship at MIT School of Management. And she has held leadership roles across MIT and is recognised as someone who has strengthened academic and educational ties between the schools of management and engineering. This again is something we do here at Strathclyde, encouraging transdisciplinary research and encouraging technology entrepreneurship wherever possible. Dame Fiona demonstrates entrepreneurial thinking in all that she does. She has designed and delivered new MIT programs to train over 2,500 senior private sector executives in executing science and technology and innovation strategy. And she's trained over 2,000 public sector leaders to bring innovation into mission-driven organisations, including here in the UK. She also created and implemented the MIT Regional Entrepreneurship Acceleration Programme to bring together multi-stakeholder teams to design and implement regional innovation ecosystems that drive growth. And she delivered a new MIT Innovation HQ, from project initiation in 2012 to delivery in 2020, working with the architects, internal programme offices, MIT leadership and donors to fulfil the vision of a new innovation gateway to MIT. Again, this type of initiative is something Strathclyde can relate to and admire Fiona's achievement. We ourselves are currently transforming the former Students' Union building on John Street into a new key element of the university's technology and innovation zone, allowing more businesses to co-locate within the university and improve productivity, develop world-class talent, research and technology, and accelerate inclusive economic growth. Fiona is passionate about entrepreneurship and start-up ventures, and she used her sabbatical period to experience firsthand The Engine, which is a tough tech venture fund established by MIT, and it now independently manages over $650 million US. And as fellow in residence, which she joined in January 22, she joined the team for investment decision-making for joint-up ventures from MIT. She has put these insights she learned on sabbatical into practice in her role at the NATO Innovation Fund, a unique venture capital fund supported by 24 NATO countries. Dame Fiona was elected to the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom's Council of Science and Technology in 2014. In 2015, she was made Commander of the British Empire, CBE, for her services to entrepreneurship. She was appointed Dame Commander of the Order of St Michael and St George, DCMG, in the 2023 New Year's Honours, Services to Science, Technology and Diversity. So, it is with great pleasure, therefore, Principal and Vice-Chancellor, that with the authority of Senate, I ask you to confer upon Professor Dame Fiona Murray, DCMG, CBE, the degree of Doctor of Business Administration, honoris causa.
I create you Doctor of Business Administration, honoris causa. Many congratulations, Fiona, and welcome to the Strathclyde family.
Thank you.
Well done.
Gosh. It's not very often that any of us stand on a stage for such a long time having one's own resume read out. It makes me feel quite exhausted, actually, to think about all those things. But really, the most important emotion I have is one of very, very deep gratitude. It means a tremendous amount to me to join this community. So, Jim, as you say, the Strathclyde family. As I say, there's something that feels extremely special, particularly, as I think you might have heard, my father hails from around these parts, and so it feels a little bit like coming home, although I don't think I sound like this is home. It's a very special and important moment for me. But I think the people for whom this is the most important moment are the graduates. And so I just want to say a huge congratulations to all of you. I've received and been awarded a number of degrees, and all I can tell you is I know how incredibly hard it is, and the amount of hard work that you've all put in. My first degree is in chemistry. That requires quite a lot of effort, and I know all of you who are science graduates have toiled away and worked really hard, and so you deserve so many congratulations for what you've accomplished. You're also obviously at the start of what I hope for all of you is a really exciting and fulfilling journey for you as individuals, but also for your family and friends. And so I just want to say well done, because that's really why we're here. So all of you, thank you. And so Jim, thank you very much. And Gillian, thank you for those very, very kind words. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Principal and Vice-Chancellor, in the name of the University and by the authority of Senate, I present to you these students. For the degree of Master in Science in Biochemistry, Olivia Margaret Gray. Roisin Kelly. Jihan Lina Nemi. David Gilberto Teixeira. In immunology, Rabiel Imrain. Erin McAleese. Amy MacDonald. Roma L. McGill. Gemma Wilson. In microbiology, Max Barkley. Peter Henderson. Edward David Murphy. In pharmacology, Anna Boyd. Katie Jane McAllister. Amy McGaff. Nicole McGee. Ilaria Pametku. Ross William Stevenson. Ellie Jessica Stewart. Alice Suhi Elizabeth Waring. Alexandra Vazeka. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Biochemistry and Immunology, Martina Cowalison. Molly Rachel McHugh. Adrian Wilhelm Schmitz. In biochemistry and microbiology, Otto Camilleri Lewis. Martina Yelmini, Andrew Frank Eisen, Nikolaus Kutavas, Brent James McCammond, Celia Elena Vatokari, in biochemistry and pharmacology, Ryan Brown, Natasha Buchanan, Jack Murray Campbell, Katie Lee Kubra, Ailey Mirren Cowan, Alice Mary Crilly, Elizabeth Davidson, Rebecca Finlay, Kirsty Jamieson Howitt, Sophie Lowes, Beth McCartney, Jordan Barry James McEwen, Casey Mercer, Andrew John Rooney, Ria Kaur Sanghera, Alana Margaret Shaw, Charlotte Ann Guthrie Smith, Eve Victoria Smith, Alexander James Stewart, Gemma Elizabeth Thu, Emily Rebecca Thompson, Rosie Elena Tudor, Lauren Woods, Keishwan Yu, in biological sciences, Jennifer Anderson, in biology with Teaching International, Tasneem Abdullah Nabi Baksh Al-Balushi, Abdul Malik Hamid Sinan Mohammed Al-Ghafri, Ari Shala Badwi Al-Hathi, Aya Kamiz Ali Al-Siabi, in biomedical science, Erica Aitkenhead, Sarah Akram, Sophia Alamgir, Malaika Amir, Michelle Amoa, Bobby Anderson, Hadia Ashfaq, Ellie Baxter, Grace India B, Princess May Castillo Bellarmino, Yorick Bebe, Endrit Brahaj, Jules Brown, Leah Elizabeth Brown, Alexandra Claire Burton, Buse Buyakbash, Lois Elora Crofts, Aoife Rose Foley, Abby Forwell, Abia Uzma Gilani, Melissa Graham, Wingwei Ho, Stephen Hughes, Leo Jonathan Kumar Joseph, Anya Elizabeth Joyner, Jack Matthew Lee, Jordan Lee, Louise Holly Mackay, Eve McKinnon, Zoha Masood, Sean McNaughton, Khadija Mohammed, Fraser Hamilton Nichol, Osarugwe Favour Odiji, Ivan Offen, Hannah Petrie, Dylan Christopher Poole, Adam Rafiq, Mohammed Hassan Rafiq, Bronwyn Rees, Ali Salim, Hasina Siddiq, Amy Sinclair, Ho Ching Tai, Dun Ching Weng, In immunology and microbiology, Anita Amarachi Anameje. Lisa McIntosh. Amy Marion Penman. Emily Riley. Amy Elizabeth Wilson. In immunology and pharmacology, Sophia Ali. Jenna Breslin. Jessica Campbell. Kerry Ann Carberry. Ria Cooper. Amy Cott. James Christopher Douglas. Keris Dunn. Roma Fraser. David Friel. Erin Garrity. Kelsey Lynn Hoy. Amy Higgins. Niamh Hinshelwood. Ella Rose Johnson. Leah Marshall. Josie McCarthy. Holly McGuigan. Erin Kaylee McNeil. Maya Charlotte Murphy. Martina Nuncheva Nuneva. Sophie Aileen O'Neill. Nicole Lauren Proudfoot. Emma Rachel Rennie. Benjamin Roy. Kirsty Traynor. In microbiology and pharmacology, Jessica Uchenna Anameje. Cameron Bain. Bogdan Kaigorodovs. Erin Elizabeth Murdoch McCubbin. Paris Jane Murray. Maria Norena Tarazona. Pragya Verma.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's give the class of 2024 a big round of applause. So, once again, ladies and gentlemen, and now to all of our Strathclyde graduates, let me reiterate our warm welcome to this fantastic ceremony, a day that none of you will forget, because it marks the successful conclusion of years of hard work, and now you've graduated in front of your proud families, your friends, your supporters, and of course your classmates. And today we welcome visitors from across Scotland, throughout the UK, and of course from a wonderful international community. We're delighted to see all of you here to join in the celebrations today. Importantly about your institution, Strathclyde is where freedom of thought is valued and encouraged. We're a place that seeks to be both tolerant and inclusive, and where people of diverse national, cultural and social backgrounds come together here to enjoy excellent education and a shared student experience. At Strathclyde, we all benefit from having students and staff from over 130 different countries, because we try to be a socially progressive community, one that seeks to be an exemplar for modern society, because we're plural, we're multicultural, and we try to be enlightened. It's our responsibility, and graduates, it's your responsibility to continue to challenge unacceptable practices, including by those in power, by using reason and by exemplifying the very best features of modern society. And we do this, and you graduate in the knowledge that we're experiencing war in Europe again because of Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine. And we're witnessing the horror of the conflict and the humanitarian disaster in Gaza. There has never been a greater need for a new generation of leaders that are professional, ethical, and empathetic, with a commitment to tolerance and a sense of purpose. Namely, people like every one of you graduating today. And remember, democracy is precious, and you're also graduating at a time of political upheaval and uncertainty across the world. This year, elections are taking place in 65 countries. Around 2 billion people, a quarter of the world's population, are eligible to vote, and of course, including here in the UK. So I encourage you all to make your opinions count in the ballot box. But of course, most importantly, we're here today to acknowledge the fruits of your hard work and the learning you've built up and the successful completion of your degree courses. These will be your passport to making a full contribution to your career and to society, in spite of the flux and uncertainty that we currently face. And of course, you're graduating in a very special year for Strathclyde University. It's our Diamond Jubilee anniversary year. Although we're 228 years old, 60 years ago, we were awarded the Royal Charter by the late Queen Elizabeth II, which conferred university status on our university. Through this Royal Charter, what was the Royal College of Science and Technology became the University of Strathclyde, the first university to be established in Scotland for almost 400 years, and Britain's first technological university. And we are the 8th oldest university in the UK. And you will recall that in 2021, in November that year, Glasgow hosted COP26, where we brought the world to Glasgow and showed Glasgow to the world. It was the summit, of course, of the world leaders which came together to agree measures to minimise global warming and climate change, the challenge of our age. And COP26 also saw us engage with international figures here in the city and here on our campus. I was honoured to welcome John Kerry, the Special Presidential Climate Envoy, Michael Bloomberg, a fellow electrical engineer, renowned businessman and Mayor of New York. And we had the highlight of hosting US former President Barack Obama here at Strathclyde when he came to speak with young people and activists about the critical role that your generation can play and must play in tackling climate change. The former president arrived here rather discreetly, as you might imagine, for security reasons, but through the powers of social media. He left in a less discreet environment with several hundred people wanting to wave him goodbye. And as he left the Learning and Teaching building, he paused in the steps and turned to address the crowd. And he shouted, very politely, but he shouted two clear words to those gathered young people. It was this: get active. And I repeat to our graduates today, get active. Active in your careers and what you choose to do, and make a difference in your personal and professional lives. Go ahead and apply yourselves. I was brought up here in the city of Glasgow, just on the other side of the Clyde, in a leafy hamlet called Govan. And the town's historical motto is nihil sine labore, or nothing without hard work. And I try to embrace that ethos every day when I come here to the university, and I would recommend to all of you that you take a similar approach in your future careers. You're very smart, you're highly accomplished, but nothing beats hard work and application. Because today you've become Strathclyde alumni, and you're the latest of the university's torchbearers, just like those from many generations of graduates that have gone before you. And now, with all that you've successfully come through, I'm sure that you would agree that you couldn't have done this without the backing and the encouragement of the community of supporters around you. And it's fitting that we acknowledge their part in the successful completion of your university studies. Our graduates and the university at large owe them an enormous debt of gratitude. So, graduates and university staff, please join me in thanking the families, friends and supporters for all that they've done to make today possible. Thank you. And for our excellent academic staff too here on the stage with us, this is a very important day because your success is ultimately their reward. So we've worked hard to provide you with a high-quality education and a first-class university experience for all of our students, regardless of background. So let me invite our new graduates to join me in thanking our fantastic staff for all that they've done to support you. And as you leave us today, it's important that you remember that we were founded in 1796. During that time of the Scottish Enlightenment and all of that drive across Europe. We're now 228 years old, although I like to think of us still as a 200-year-old startup organisation, retaining that same sense of entrepreneurship, excitement and purpose as in the time of our establishment. And throughout our history, Strathclyde has remained faithful to our founding principles, and we were established, and I quote in the language of the time, for the benefit of all mankind. And we were the only higher education institution to be established in Scotland at that time, and it was named as Anderson's Institution. And that remains a real distinction for Strathclyde, and we continue to drive our university strategy in that same exciting spirit, making it wholly relevant for the 21st century. Our founder, John Anderson, who was a physicist or natural philosopher, as he may have been called then, with a deep engineering capability too. He had strong links with Benjamin Franklin, the American inventor and academic. And Franklin was one of the founders of the University of Pennsylvania in 1751 under the motto of useful knowledge. And this inspired our founder, John Anderson, and he created in his will a requirement to have a place of useful learning established. And never has this philosophy been so relevant since our establishment over 200 years ago. And the motto of useful learning should be known by all of our staff and students, still defining our purpose as a leading international technological university that seeks to be socially progressive. So, for example, across our campus and in the buildings that you've passed today on your way to the Barony Hall, our academics and students, not least of which from this institute and the science faculty, are developing drugs to diagnose and fight diseases. For example, we have several drugs on clinical trials in the areas of cancer diagnostics and treatment, kidney disease, infection management, and inflammatory diseases. Strathclyders are producing energy technologies and policy solutions to tackle climate change and to establish a low-carbon economy. We are revolutionising global manufacturing, helping to create the fourth industrial revolution, so-called Industry 4.0, through robotics, AI, data analytics, and automation. Our students are inspiring. They continue their work in low-income countries, establishing clean water and power supplies, deploying healthcare systems in remote communities, and introducing new telecommunications infrastructure. And they're transferring knowledge and bringing, for example, prosthetic limb and bioengineering technologies to those in need. But we're also working to inform public policy in the UK on a national economic strategies such as education, health, energy and innovation. Our staff in our Technology and Innovation Centre, £100 million investment, has work focused in partnership with industry around energy, photonics and pharmaceutical manufacturing. And the well-known American inventor, Thomas Edison, called his technology teams in his laboratories his inventions factory. Well, we like to think of our tech building as our innovations factory. And we've further reinforced Strathclyde's distinct offering by creating Scotland's first innovation district. In fact, we're in the heart of it geographically here in the Barony, at the Glasgow City Innovation District, attracting some 1,600 businesses in and around this space, working on medtech, fintech, quantum technology, industrial AI, 5G and soon to be 6G communications, and of course space technology. Who knew that outside California, Glasgow has the biggest small satellite manufacturing capability in the world, here in this city, capturing again our industrial past with great gusto. Recently, one of our double graduates, Dr. Charles Wang, graduate from the business school, MBA and PhD, donated £50 million to the university, the largest donation in Scottish higher education history, top 10 in the UK, to help us drive that innovation and entrepreneurship strategy. Jill mentioned that we're using that money to reinvest and reimagine the old Student Union building, creating it as a hub for digital entrepreneurship and spin-in startups and spin-outs. Out at Glasgow Airport, another innovation district has been established focused on advanced manufacturing with the Advanced Forming Research Centre, NMIS, the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre, whose chief executive is here with us today, YTG, etc., helping to establish Scotland's advanced manufacturing capabilities. And with our commitment to useful learning, we provide business and industry with the tools that they need to be more innovative and to promote economic growth, helping to create jobs and provide us all with a better quality of life that's both sustainable and healthy. But most importantly, graduates, we're providing people with the opportunity to transform their lives and the lives of their families. And as I mentioned earlier, we still attract many first-generation university students to Strathclyde, like me. I was the first in my family to go to university, and I came here to Strathclyde because I felt welcome and I felt at home here. And that's some of the reasons why we've had a terrific sequence over recent years of independent recognition of what we do and how we do it. So, for example, at the UK Times Higher Education Awards, that's the annual big awards for the sector, we've won the UK University of the Year twice, the only university to have had that recognition twice. We've been the Sunday Times Scottish University of the Year, talking about not just what we're achieving, but how we collaborate and operate as an organisation. This year, the inaugural Daily Mail league tables have us as the Scottish University of the Year, and runner-up only to Imperial College as the UK University of the Year. Alistair McCall, who compiles those rankings, and he was the table compiler for the Sunday Times for many years, he described us, and I quote, as the epitome of a progressive 21st century university seeking to shape and change society for the better through the pursuit of educational excellence and social change, and still, he says, a place of useful learning, just as it set out to be more than 200 years ago. And this time last year, we were named the 23-24 European Entrepreneurial University of the Year at the Tripoli Awards in Barcelona. And I'm delighted to say just last week, at a national ceremony in Aberdeen, Glasgow was named the Employer of the Year at the Cherries Awards, which celebrates the excellence in the fields of human resources, training and recruitment. And that was meaningful for me and my executive team, because it talks about the environment that we create to allow our academics to thrive and our colleagues in professional services and the support services to go on and do their job well and get job satisfaction from it. And just last week, in the Times Higher Education Impact Rankings for 2024, Strathclyde was placed joint 25th in a community of almost 2,000 universities that were reviewed, acknowledging our positive contribution to achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, critical for addressing climate change, equity and opportunity. So these various awards reflect the quality and breadth of our activities across the university and across all the faculties, demonstrating that this place has a disproportionate impact, principally and foremost about all of you. You graduates are our biggest and most important contribution to society. You're the people that are going to lead, change the world, have an impact through your careers, whatever that might be. And whilst the sector here in Scotland attracts about £1.1 billion worth of investment from the Scottish Government, we pay back about £10 billion worth of value back into the Scottish economy. That's important, and Strathclyde has a particular and distinctive role in all of that by translating what we do, graduating all of you, and translating our research into impact for the economy. And this Faculty of Science, and the Dean of Science is here with us today, Professor Duncan Graham. What this faculty has been doing gives me great cause for optimism, and so many achievements I'm going to summarise just in a few bullet points. One of our colleagues, Damien Corrigan, was named the Academic Entrepreneur of the Year at the Praxis Oral KE Awards, translating research into practical applications. He spun out 2 companies, Orium Diagnostics and Microplate DX, looking at everything from antimicrobial resistance through to the identification of infections. The National Measurement Laboratory at the Lab of the Gurn Chemist appointed Zara Rattray to be based as our academic in residence, looking at advanced measurement research and health translation here at Strathclyde, supporting reliable innovation and ensuring accuracy and validation methods in drug delivery research. Dr. Kim Kavanagh has been invited by Public Health Scotland to join the Scottish Government expert group on cervical cancer elimination. And research undertaken by cybersecurity expert Karen Reynolds was cited as evidence in Parliament as part of the debate on the Horizon Post Office scandal. And one of our academics in SIBS, Professor Alistair Florence, has been leading our work on continuous manufacturing crystallisation, revolutionising pharmaceutical manufacturing. He's just recently led a programme attracting £80 million worth of funding into the next generation of medicines manufacturing for a sustainable future. And we saw several of our colleagues in the faculty recognised with awards, with MBEs for Professor Roma Maguire and Yvonne Perry, and an OBE for Professor Gavin Halbert. And Professor Glyn Winskill was elected a Fellow to the Royal Society. And Professor Apala Majumdar and Keith Matheson as Fellows of the Royal Society of Edinburgh. Fantastic recognition of their academic prowess. So, graduates, this is the exciting context within which you should view your awards. You're now graduates that belong to a university that places our students at the heart of everything that we do. We value excellence in both education and research, and we create strong partnerships with society at large as well as with the business world. And with regard to internationalisation, the world's best universities contribute, collaborate and compete on the international stage, and we are no different. And we have many high-quality global partners, including in North America, Stanford, New York University, and partnerships in MIT in energy and photonics, with strong relationships at USC and Waterloo in Canada. In China, we work closely with Peking and Tsinghua universities, particularly on sustainability and renewable energy, and the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. And we have a raft of strong partnerships across the EU. In spite of the disruption that Brexit brought to our sector and arguably the economy at large, the soft power and the lasting power of academic exchange and students' mobility and research endeavour will continue to maintain that fabric of European collaboration. And just last month, we announced exciting initiatives to expand our teaching, research and innovation activities in Bahrain and in Saudi Arabia, where in Riyadh, we've become the first UK to have a physical presence in Saudi. And that's been based around the Princess Noura University, the world's largest all-female university, with 35,000 students. And we intend there to support the upskilling of women in the kingdom to drive social change, as well as providing them education in engineering, technology, science, business and the humanities. And of course, all of you students have directly benefited from being part of an international university and helping you to emerge with the skills necessary for yourselves, for Scotland and for those nations that you will continue to work in. And that will allow you to play a full part in the world. And you have been exposed to the richness and the value of different cultures and traditions. Never forget that. But most importantly, as you graduate today, please leave here understanding your obligations as global citizens. I talked about us being socially progressive. We remain the leading Scottish research-intensive university for widening participation in higher education. And we take students from some of the most challenged communities across Scotland. Almost 1,300 have joined us this year, within which over 500 come from the most challenged communities across the country. In that same period, we've achieved joint fifth in the UK for our entrance requirements, making a nonsense of the idea if you bring young people like that in from challenged backgrounds, you must be diluting the education experience. Nonsense. If you make it a strategic priority and you make a commitment, you can drive them forward, get them in, educate them, keep them in, and then launch them into their career. And just last month, I talked about all of you being part of the first graduation ceremony of the year. Well, we had one just before this, which was before the formal statement. So a month ago, I had 500 young people aged 10 till 12, over 2 days, came here with their robes and their mortarboards to become young Strathclyders. We designed this programme that sits in the back of the Children's University where I was Chancellor. And these youngsters come across the stage, some of them skipping, I have to say, some of them going so fast that I missed them with my cap. But as my colleagues know, I love these ceremonies because it's one of the few ceremonies where I get to look tall in a graduation ceremony. But they came here because we let them know that aspiration and confidence and having ambition really matters. And with their mums and dads and grannies and grandpas were in the hall, I was speaking to them as much as I was speaking to the youngsters, that they need to remember higher education isn't an elitist sport. It's for those that have the intellectual capability and the drive and love and support of their families and those around them, not least their teachers, and then ultimately when they come here. So let me conclude. If I characterise your university, Strathclyde, in 2024, I would describe us as being distinctive and having ambition, focus and momentum. We continue our work with the agility and commitment so necessary to absorb the continuing challenges in our sector, as well as the political and economic uncertainties that we all face. It's an enormous privilege for me to lead this great institution with the superb support I have from my executive team, as well as the academics, the professional services and support staff. And I would like to think, and no, in fact, I firmly believe that our founder, John Anderson, would recognise what we are doing today as the realisation of what he sought to establish during the Scottish Enlightenment, namely useful learning. And to all of you in the Barony Hall today, I'm certain that today's graduates will have an enormous impact on society and that 2024 can truly become a vintage year. You've shown resilience, great application, and ultimately you've been successful. And hopefully you've had a little fun on the journey too. We're all very proud of you. So with that in mind, recall that as you leave the hall today, you have a responsibility. You now leave us as graduates, and you're joining the numbers of over 200,000 Strathclyders out there in the world. But please remember, whatever you do and wherever you choose to pursue your career, truly useful learning means that you apply your knowledge for the benefit of others, make a positive impact for yourselves and the communities that you belong to, respect diversity and inclusivity, value freedom of expression and thought, and reach conclusions and resolve disputes through reason and tolerance. These characterise the core values of your university. And finally, let me return to today's celebration. We're all here to mark the achievements of those who have been awarded their degrees. So on behalf of the university, I would like to extend again my sincere congratulations to you all and wish you every success in your future careers. Please stay in touch and let us know how you're making progress. Well done, and please enjoy the rest of this very special day.